We are counting down the top returning Bulldogs for Georgia's 2022 team, a team that will be defending a national championship. These rankings are from Pro Football Focus. Brent, you've done a lot of work with them. That's Brent Rollins. I'm Dayne Young. We co-author Film Don't Lie at UGAsports.com. And I always want to reiterate as we're doing these that Pro Football Focus, when they're doing their evaluations on this is not us saying we think this player is better than this player or this is the most important player for Georgia for this particular reason. All we're saying is that when you look at their total grades, because PFF does a really good job of isolating every player's performance on every single play and then consolidating that into a grade for the season, kind of explain how that process works itself out over the course of a whole season.
Well, and you look at some of the lists that we've looked at. We had 23 players on the list. A couple we included that didn't really play a whole lot of snaps, but mainly we included them because one of the last ones we looked at, Daijun Edwards, recently, because he's going to provide a sort of vital contributor to the team this year. Another one here soon we're going to look at that didn't quite have enough snaps. But a lot of these players, like the one we're about to look at, had played 597 snaps a season ago. And we want to go ahead?
I was going to say he's been a workhorse, and we can introduce who he is. That's Chris.
Yes, and when you think about, so that's every single, the 597 snaps that he's on the field, he's getting a grade. Now, oftentimes, and what people really get, all right, well, you're giving him a plus or a minus on every play. Not necessarily. If it's a 3rd and 2 and he's just hanging out in the back and it's a running play or a sneak or something like that, he's going to get a 0 grade on that play. He's not involved in the play whatsoever. So that there's a lot of those that come into play. But with him, you think about him, that is every number that you see there on the bottom of the screen, 7.1 overall, 70.6 tackling, the coverage grade and the snap count, all career highs, and hasn't stepped off the field really since taking over for Richard LeCount when he got hurt a year ago or 2 years ago.
Been a vital player for Georgia, one that, at least in terms of Georgia playing time, I would say a bit of a late bloomer. He was on campus for a little while before he really got his shot. But one thing that I want you to notice, as you see on the bottom, the scroll here of who we've done rankings of, you can go back on our YouTube channel or Facebook page. You can see our analysis of these players, top returning players based off of PFF grades. As they're scrolling, you'll notice there are a lot of defensive backs on this list. Like, Georgia's had a lot of meaningful contributors at defensive back. Christopher Smith right there, kind of at the top of that. And I think, Brent, it's because of his versatility. He was recruited as a cornerback, 6 foot. He's a little thin back then. This is 165 pounds out of
definitely not now.
Charter. No, he's much bigger now. But Hayville Charter has been really good to Georgia. They've gotten a lot of good players from there. He had a lot of good offers, but it wasn't the Alabamas and the Clemsons. Like, it was, Auburn, Florida. He ended up coming to Georgia. I don't think it was a very competitive recruitment. He wanted to be a Bulldog, and he stuck around for a while. When you look at what he's listed at now at Georgia Dogs on the official team roster,
he's at least 200 pounds. He's
they got him at 190.
No. He's gotten a lot bigger over time. I mean, maybe 195, but
I say swole.
Closer to, yes, very swole. A lot closer to 200 than he is 190, I think. But no, he's developed over time. And first couple seasons, 63 snaps in 18, 78 snaps in 19, and then jumped up big time once LeCount got hurt in 2020, and then was a vital contributor. And by the way, a vital returnee. Mm-hmm. Like, you think about him and then also William Poole that we've already talked about. Those two guys coming back, when you add Ringo, you add some of the others that are going to be there, that's big time for Georgia's defense in defending this title.
I mentioned the versatility. He was originally recruited as a cornerback, but you've obviously seen him play safety. And there was talk that, like, if Georgia needed his help, they could shift him over to star and do some stuff behind him there. He can essentially play anything in Georgia's backfield. And I think the tape, as I'm pointing up now, will show why that's the case.
And he did in one of these.
There you go.
He did in one of these, switching to switching to star. We're going to show that and talk about that.
We will. There's a couple plays here that I think are pretty legendary for Georgia's national championship run. We'll get to those. One in the first game, one in the last game.
And this is one where this play against Florida, you kind of saw it coming. And if he holds the ball a little bit longer and looks up the middle of the field, I think I remember somebody being open in the middle of the field or a little somewhere else. But Smith didn't bite on it at all. Doesn't bite on it, makes the play on the ball, did a great job of making plays on the ball all season. But, this is what you want out of your deep safeties. When you look at him in coverage the entirety of the season, now it could have been more based upon the next play, but he only gave up 130 yards in his coverage all year. What's that tell you? It tells you your safety. He's not getting beat deep.
It was funny looking.
That's a great thing.
It was funny listening back to the TV copy on this because this was a CBS game, obviously Georgia, Florida, and Brad Nessler was like, "Oh, I think that's another quarterback out there. I hope or let's see if Georgia gets fooled by it or something like that." Obviously, they did not because it was pretty easy double pass view here. And Georgia defended it well.
By the way, I think you could totally set up an offense that has two quarterbacks on the field all the time. But that's a whole nother world.
I had a dream offense one time that you could have three quarterbacks, especially if one was left-handed, and you just kind of have three guys back there. The center could snap to any of them. But imagine a college era, let's say Cam Newton, Johnny Manziel, Tim Tebow. There's a story for another day. The offense that I designed in a way.
Now, speaking of getting beat deep, this is one where miscommunication. It's interesting to see who exactly there because his eyes instantly go in the middle of the field and towards the QB, and misses the guy in the slot. Velus Jones streaking down, and luckily Hendon Hooker cannot throw the completion. He tried to throw the perfect pass, but Smith's eyes here instantly go inside. And, it's one where you think, all right, and this was the second play of the game? First, I think it was, second play of the game because it was 2nd and 5. And you're like, oh, wow, where's the bust there? I can't remember from the all-22 angle who I thought more that was on, but it's one where you can't allow this to happen. But what did Georgia do in this game? They changed it a little bit, and you see him in a different spot and somebody else in his spot, which is
That's
what
exactly
we get.
What happened. And Tennessee presents some unique challenges because very few teams have receivers hanging out this far, this close to the sidelines on each side. And I think that Georgia had to adjust to that because when you do that, it creates some spacing issues. So one wrong step against Tennessee has good athletes too. All of a sudden, a lot of space back here if these guys aren't doing exactly what they should be doing.
Yep. And they challenge you all 53 yards across the field and vertically all the time. And if you don't pay attention to it, they're going to challenge you. And that, Georgia had to adjust. And they, obviously they were a little shell-shocked there. Not necessarily shell-shocked, but Tennessee had success early in this game.
Yeah. And again, another play from Tennessee. I'm just showing, this is not Smith, but I'm just showing sideline up here, very close. A little bit tighter here, but
somebody's down at the bottom of the screen still. You can't even see them on the screen. But what do you see here with this play? Where is Christopher Smith? He's in the star sort of slot position after. This is kind of the end of Latavius Brini time at Georgia. This game, for the most part, Dan Jackson on the field, Smith at the star, and if you're going to start playing star, what do you got to be? You got to be physical, and you got to tackle. And
because that's what Brini did so well was let me attack the backfield, let me get on the flat. He had trouble in coverage, so Smith had to prove, all right, get my nose dirty because I know I can cover.
Yep, and that's like I said, you look at the tackling grade, career high. I think he only had 5 missed tackles on right around 40 tackling attempts that he had. So I think which was actually one of the higher ones on the team because of Georgia misses so few tackles, but still being physical. And I think what you see him doing right there with Jackson on the field, and if you add Poole and you add Tyke Smith, you got 4 guys there for the most part. Any of them can be in any one of those spots. And the ability to rotate and move around and disguise things because those guys can play both in the slot and on the back end, I think it will be interesting to see how Georgia plays, if they play any differently than they have. Obviously, why would they? But maybe they'll get a little unique in the secondary because their defensive line isn't as dominant.
Georgia preaches communication on defense, and so Tennessee splits the H-back out here, essentially saying, hey, he's going to come block out here, trying to set this up quickly, because if Dan Jackson doesn't recognize what's happening here, then you get a 2-on-1 matchup with a lot of space down here. And I just want you to notice the communication between Jackson here and Smith here, because Jackson, I think, does a really good job, and Smith does too, but Jackson, you kind of see the visible hand motions and everything. Of what's going on.
You do this,
right,
I got this. You do this, I got this.
Yeah. And Jackson, that's exactly what he should do, is let me get to the inside of this guy to make sure no one else can come help. And then you see the result of the play. Georgia did a good job there.
Now, this is one where the eyes in the backfield, and by the way, reading the route, this is where it's sort of, I think this is a film study kind of play that he makes here against Bama, but eyes in the backfield in the right place and goes and makes a play on the ball.
Again, we don't always have the best angles that we'd like to have on this, so you'll see.
The second angle, you got the second angle in there, I think.
I do, but even on this one, I was just saying that you don't
see the catch first. Yeah, you don't see him. You see the catch.
Here it is. There's your eyes.
Well, but also, like, you can see Cameron Latu, the 81 for Alabama. When you watch, even in this angle, really close, when you watch him come off the line, it's very kind of, I'm just hanging out here in the flat kind of thing. And he reads that very quickly and instantly gets his eyes in the backfield to see if the smash route, the deeper route is in play. Finds it there because let's see there. He just kind of starts jogging a little bit after coming off the line of scrimmage. Just so that's heads up play, knowing what Alabama wants to do. By the way, also being physical on the inside against William Poole, being physical against Billingsley. All sorts of good plays.
Yeah,
3 picks
I love
on the year.
Obviously, the recognition is what wins this play, but I also just love how good he is at tracking the ball, because that can be difficult to do. I know that ball's hanging in the air there, but you can tell he's got ball skills.
Yep. We'll see those really close up here soon.
Yeah, it's also
this play. Alabama. Yeah, this is 2 plays before the Ringo play. So this is Alabama getting a little desperate, trying to push the ball down. Trying to push the ball down the field because it's 26-18 at that time, and boom, makes a play on the ball, knocks it down.
Needed to as well because Darrell Kendrick not in good position.
No. Yeah, and if he's not there, 7 might make a play on the ball there.
Georgia was getting a lot of good pressure, obvious passing situations, so defensive backs had to be ready to make plays because that ball was getting out soon. Hey, we know this one, right?
This is just one. I don't know what DJU was thinking here. I don't know how he didn't see this coverage, but 2, the thing about this that is most amazing with this play is, to me, the catch. So oftentimes, a defensive back on that play, they drop it and then they're stomping on the ground and looking at their hands or knocking it down. He took a little contact and made the catch. So that to me was the most awesome part about this play. The reading the route, jumping the route, that's mental preparation. But a little bit of tap that he got from Ross, makes the catch, and then houses it.
Obviously, we remember that this was the only touchdown in Georgia's first game of the season, so that was meaningful because without that, it's a tie game.
Yep,
with Clemson.
Because
the other thing, I had forgotten. In my head, I guess I was thinking, "Oh, this was a fourth quarter thing, and the game was so tight." He made this pick in the fourth quarter, and Clemson really couldn't recover. This happened early in the game.
Yep, second quarter.
Yeah, it was second quarter, and it was a momentum changer. But I don't think any of us realized that
3 minutes ago, maybe 3 or 4 minutes ago, I think.
That was the play, that was the ball game, and you just didn't have the context at the time when it happened. But I do remember immediately people had a call back after Kelee Ringo had the pick 6 in the title game of, Christopher Smith had won the first game of the season. This has all kind of come back around.
Yes, that the first touchdown and the last touchdown of the season appropriately scored by the defense
Yeah.
for Georgia in this past season.
And so this play alone leaves Christopher Smith in a very positive space in Georgia lore.
Legends never die, right? He will never die with this legendary pick six against Clemson. But the key here, what are we talking about him now, though? Returning and being on this roster in 2022. And now you've got, when you think about a season ago in 2021, Ringo hadn't taken a snap. Kendrick had played a bunch in big-time games, but not for you. Christopher Smith had played half a season. Breeny never, hadn't really played. Like the inexperience, Scene was the only guy in the secondary where you're like, oh, wow, okay, I'm feeling good here. Now, Smith, Poole, Ringo, Tyke Smith coming back if he's able to get on the field and be healthy. Dan Jackson, like just that level of experience there. If you're going to be a little weaker on the front part, in the front seven, front four, and by the way, you're going to be weaker because you just got guys that were highly picked. It's not like you have bad players on your roster. It's just the other guys were that good. So having that experience in secondary, big time for this team.
I think for Smith personally too, now that he has some really important like game tape to his name that he can always point to, I think once he gets to the NFL evaluation process, he's going to be a step ahead than a lot of players, probably of his talent, I guess I'll say. I guess what I'm saying is I think he overperformed what his overall talent probably is, and that's a compliment to him of how hard he's worked to get there. Because I think he's an NFL football player.
Yes, and the versatility, the ability to play both in the slot and at safety, like that versatility is going to get him drafted. As long as he doesn't go run a –
yeah, like
go run
if he runs a
4.8.
4.7, then yeah, it's going to be tougher.
But that's not going to happen.
No, he's a better athlete than that. He's no Kelee Ringo. Few are. Kelee Ringo will get drafted ahead of him, but Christopher Smith's a really, really good player. And I guess what I'm saying is he's already a step ahead because a lot of NFL teams like seeing, oh, you made big plays in big moments.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're a gamer. And so like as long as he just has to not blow his combine and he'll be fine. A lot of people have to go and overperform at the combine to get attention. He won't be one of those guys. And
he's going to be a big-time player for them this year.
Absolutely will be. This is a big-time series that we're doing here at UGAsports.com. We'll
still a long way to go.
We get into the top 10 at our next episode, so you need to make sure you're subscribed to our UGA Sports YouTube channel. Make sure you like our Facebook page so you can continue seeing the content that we're putting out for this series, our top returning Bulldog series. The other thing that we're doing is we have a lot of reaction videos as college football news has been breaking left and right. And so we'd like to tell you what we're talking about, kind of both publicly and privately, the things that we hear, the opinions that we have, and sometimes we just have some unique perspectives. And if we don't, we'll at least tell you some jokes or something, or you can make fun of us because we don't know what we're talking about. As you had to remind me that DJ Uwe Ungalale made a very terrible play after I hyped him up for a year, which is okay. I think I got my redemption with Stetson, right? Because
yes,
I took some heat for him for about 6 months, and that worked out well. Hey, he's going to be in our top 10. I just gave away one of those, and Brock Bowers is going to be up there as well. Thanks for watching this series. We'll see you next time here for our continuing series of top returning Bulldogs.